So we caught up with Sabrina a while back, and she was telling us that she was hooked on a guy that she was dating, not even dating, just a guy that she knew when she was 11 years old. And the feelings that she had for this guy back at 11 was confusing her so much in her adult relationships now that she couldn't move forward with guys.
And she has a fiance, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, this is a very serious time for her because this guy doesn't know about her hang up with the old guy, and she's got to decide what she wants to do with her life because she's engaged.
That's Sean Wheeler, and he's a hypnotist that we use. Do you like being, is it hypnotist? Is that the technical term?
It doesn't really matter. Hypnotist or hypnotherapist is the more formal term, but I'm also a hypnotist. I also do the comedy, so anything is fine.
Okay. So we sent Sabrina to Sean, and the last time we had her on, she didn't really feel like she was getting results from it because you saw her, you guys sat down, and this is what she told us last time.
It's like I'm thinking about him all the time. And it's almost, too, like, because I was in denial for so long, and now that I've admitted to myself that I still want to be with him, it's almost like my thoughts just happen more frequently, and it's hard to just let that go.
And by the way, I mean, if I'm the fiance in that situation and she's telling me that there's an emotional block up for me because she's thinking about a guy that she knew when she was 11, I'm probably bailing. I got to be honest with you.
Probably.
Well, yeah, because you feel like she's had these feelings her whole life. This must be her destiny, not me.
Right. It's not the situation you want to be in on either side of that relationship equation.
It's true. I mean, the first
you said
time
politically correctly.
The first time she comes to him and goes, I just got to tell you something. You're never going to be like my 11-year-old boyfriend. I'd be like, what?
Say
I
that
can't live
again?
up to your 11-year-old boyfriend?
He had the best collection of Hot Wheels of anybody in the neighborhood.
Didn't she say when she closed her eyes, she'd just picture his smiling face? There was something about
Well, yeah, that's
him?
what we accessed during the first session was, what was the thought that was giving her such the heart pitter patter feelings, and it was the thought of his smiling face, and that was something that we worked on in the session, but in the week afterwards when we came back on the show, it hadn't actually produced the effect that we wanted it to. It was actually made things a little bit worse initially.
Is that pretty typical that sometimes you got to get through the rough stuff before things get better?
I wouldn't say it's typical, but it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, sometimes just because the person comes in to do a session to address a particular issue, even if we work on it, initially they're like, well, they're thinking about the fact that they've done a session on it and they're listening to a recording that's focused on that. So sometimes initially it can be a little bit worse. But as I think we're about to hear, over time, things can change a little bit.
Yeah, we're trying to get her on right now. Is she available? No, Can't find her?
Oh, boy.
She's in the car dropping off a person who has no idea that she's doing this, and she can't blow her cover.
Okay.
On her story. So she promised me she'd have them dropped off by now, but
she can't. She's not available.
We're trying to get her.
Oh, open the door and make a sharp turn.
Tommy, do you want to give us the update, or does Sean know her situation where she's at now?
Oh, Sean. So
oh yeah, I know. I didn't want to spoil the surprise, but when she came in for her session last week, my attitude when something like this happens is, people hear, well, she came on the air and she wasn't better, and you'd think, oh my gosh, everyone knows that it didn't work. My thought immediately was, wow, if this woman actually does change and get over this guy, it's going to make me look really good. So when she came back in for the session, I was very prepared. I had a number of things in mind that I was going to do with her, but when she walked in the door within 5 minutes, I already knew that her problem was solved. She had told me that since the last time that we were on the air, she'd listened to the recording a few times and she just stopped thinking about him. Maybe not 100%, but she said it was so much so that it wasn't a problem anymore. And we actually used that session last week to focus on other stuff that had nothing to do with this issue.
So she's completely over this dude already.
Well, I'll let her answer for herself when she's on the phone as far as completely is concerned. But I mean, she felt so comfortable with it that she actually didn't ask for any more help with it.
So what did you do?
Well, we actually just, when a client comes in and I've already fixed their issue and they've got a session that's scheduled, I'll say, well, what do you want to use it for? And she started talking about some other things in her life that were important to her in terms of motivation and focus and self-esteem, and we just worked on those things.
Wow.
That's incredible. So she re-listened to that first session a couple other times because you've said that that's key in making hypnosis work.
Right. I gave her the recording of the session, and she said she'd listened to it a handful of times. Not every single day, but a handful of times. And my feeling is that is what produced or helped to produce the effect over the long term, because there were things in there about amnesia and forgetting and moving on and that sort of thing. And sometimes it takes a little bit for it to set in. And she actually said, I believe she said during the session that her experience listening to it was much more immersive after a few times, meaning that she was sort of not really paying attention to anything that was said. She would wake up and it was over, and sometimes that's the kind of thing that does a trick.
Was any part of your second session about keeping commitments that she makes to radio shows that she's scheduled to be on? Because guess what? That didn't work.
That'll be the next session.
Here's Lacey. She wants to be on The Voice Disguiser. Hey, Lacey.
Hey, Sean. I just wanted to ask you if you thought you could treat someone with migraines.
Oh, wow. This one hits close to home. This is how my wife got addicted to painkillers right here. She was waking up every single morning with a massive headache, and she ended up getting addicted to painkillers.
Right. Well, sometimes it can and sometimes it can't. There are certain things hypnosis can do in terms of with mental causes for things like that. In fact, one of the things that's interesting is whenever I do a seminar and I have 100 people in the room and I hypnotize them, there's always a couple people who wake up and go, my headache is gone. Who had a headache before they were hypnotized. And it happens often in my sessions as well. So when it comes to migraines in particular, what I say is, do a session and give it a try and listen to a recording, and the stress level is automatically going to go down. And if that produces the effect of reducing the migraine, then great. If not, well, then you have other options.
Okay, and Bert, I had a question for you. You never actually, I don't think I've ever heard you mention how Stacy has overcome her migraine.
Yeah, she found out that she was allergic to 5 different foods. And once she got off of those foods, the migraines went away.
Okay, great. All right, Sean. Thank you. Thanks, Bert.
Sure.
Welcome.
All right, now here's what we want to focus on next here, Sean, because I remember a while back we were talking about shy people and how they have a really difficult time meeting each other. And we were almost considering having a shy person's party where everybody there knows that they're shy, so it would either be the best party or the worst party ever.
Nobody would show up.
Or everybody would show up and nobody would talk to each other.
Like a high school prom there, or one of those dances.
Right. Boys on one side, girls on the other.
Can you hypnotize somebody to get over their shyness?
Yes, and the reason I say that is because a lot of people wouldn't believe this now because of the way that I've come across lately, but I used to be extremely shy. I couldn't ask girls out. I had a hard time meeting people at parties or just saying hello to someone new at work or asking somebody to go out to the movies. And hypnosis is something that in particular changed my internal thoughts and my feelings about myself and my self-esteem to the point where now it's easy. And so I can teach that to other people.
Was that a hand up right there? You.
Me?
Kristen, yeah. I just thought I saw you do something like that.
Oh,
okay.
no. I thought you were looking at the intern. I'm like, is she shy?
Nope. All right. So I don't know that we have anybody that has emailed us about that yet, or if you want to, Sean can help you with your shyness, which could totally change your life.
Absolutely. For me, it's the hugest thing, and it has a lot to do with what a person in that setting is thinking about, because what I used to be thinking about was what everybody else in the room might be thinking about me, and it was all negative stuff because I had low self-esteem. But when your self-esteem changes and you like yourself, then you walk into that same room and you imagine everyone's thinking awesome things about you, and that becomes a much more comfortable and a friendly place.
Jeff, what is that like when you walk into a room and you feel like everybody is talking awesome things about you?
I don't know what it's like to think that because I actually experience usually when I walk into a room. It's the same trumpets that they played when they opened the Olympic Games.
When did you get hypnotized?
Oh, it's not hypnosis. This is just the way. When you're awesome, you start out as
Jim
an
and Donna
awesome.
Dauler were doing it since childhood.
So you start out as an awesome baby.
Only child.
You become an awesome child and an awesome adult.
All right, if you're super, super shy and you'd like to change that about yourself, go ahead and email us at thebertshow.com. And we're also linked right on over to Sean Wheeler's website, too, at thebertshow.com. Thank you, man. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thanks, Sean.
Right, now, Sean has a seminar coming up also. If you're really interested in seeing him do his thing, you can do it here, right?
That's correct. It's in Atlanta, and it's in about a month. It's in late August, and it's very inexpensive. So if you'd like to lose weight and you're on a low budget, check out my website. You can RSVP today.
Cool. And we'll link on over to it from thebertshow.com. All right, Sabrina has shown up.
Yay.
Hey, Sabrina.
she's
Hey,
here.
Sabrina. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. All right, so Sean pretty much told us what was going on, that you don't think about this dude from your 11-year-old past at all.
Absolutely. And when I do have thoughts of him, I know how to shut it off immediately.
How do you do that?
Fascinating.
I actually, one of the things that I have to practice, or I had to practice, was when I have thoughts of him to think of myself happy with my fiance, and immediately I can just do that. And I also think about, I stopped where I used to think about him being, carried away by the cops and all of that, but that just had me thinking about him more. But now I'm focusing on my current relationship.
Did your fiance think this was kind of nutty? That, I mean, you're basically going to therapy to get over a guy that you were happy with when you were 11 years old?
He does not know.
Oh, he doesn't know
at all.
At all?
No.
Wow.
No.
So he has no idea this struggle is going on?
No, he did not. I remember him asking me years ago if I ever thought about him, and I told him that I did, and he didn't respond. He got really, really quiet. And months later, he told me that it really hurt him to know that I still thought about him. But it's been several years since he asked me that question.
Well, good for you for taking the steps that you knew you needed to take in order to preserve your relationship with your fiancé.
Thank you.
And I think this is one that you probably would store in the folder, never tell my husband.
Yeah.
Because you're going to look back at this years from now and you're going to go, it's fine now. I'll
Now I can tell him.
Nah.
Some things are best kept to ourselves.
That's just between you and everybody listening and Sean.